From the creators who brought you RuPaul's Drag Race and $1 Million Listing, this is World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Well, hello everyone and welcome to this week's edition of the Wow Report, where we count down the top 10 things this week that made us go wow. I'm co-founder of World of Wonder, Fenton Bailey, joined this week by editor of the Wow Report, James St. James, our chief creative officer. I love saying that. It sounds sort of disciplinary. Tom Campbell, our chief creative officer. And listen,
And me.
Well, I'll get to you in a minute. Since 1988, when Ronald Reagan began it, he did do some good things. May is National Foster Care Month, and so it's our great pleasure to welcome Michelle Visage, who, of course, you know from RuPaul's Drag Race, from Seduction, many things, many things. But you might not know this, Michelle. You are also adopted.
Yay! I am a proud adopted kid, indeed.
Absolutely. And we are celebrating National Foster Care Month since 1988, and it is in the month of May. And so here you are.
It's so important that we celebrate this. I was in the foster system, but only for 4 months before I got put into my forever home. But it's so important because so many kids are kind of stuck in the foster care system, so to speak, and we want to bring attention to it so we can move them into their forever homes.
Absolutely marvelous. So number 10, you are it. We're going to be counting down some of the highbrow, lowbrow things of the week, but our countdown begins with you, Michelle Visage, and number 10, and your story. So let's have at it.
Number 10.
Which one do you want?
Something decent.
I just want to say something really tacky. But
What,
I thought
Tom?
when we said this was about the foster care system, this was going to be about Catherine McPhee's plans for David. System.
No.
But
I just got it. Oh my God. It took me a minute for that one to sink in.
Thank you.
Get it?
I'm all ears. Michelle, tell us your story, your beautiful, how you found your family and your family found you.
My father always told a story that I never really thought was funny, but as I'm older and I have my own children, I get it. But my father used to tell like my boyfriends, and there were many, my girlfriends, whoever would listen, he would say, oh, I grew up in New Jersey. He'd say, we went down the shore, we went to Point Pleasant or Seaside Heights, and we put a quarter down and we won Michelle on the wheel. The ones that would spin. And I'd be like, you're an asshole. No. I was like, and then when you think about adoption and how people are scared off because private adoption is quite pricey, which is why I'm a big vocal person for fostering with the intention of adopting and going through foster care. It is just, I don't want to say so much better because any adoption is an amazing adoption. But these kids, like I said, that get stuck in foster care don't get the opportunity that a private adoption kind of would have. So anybody out there that's listening that is really interested in adoption, please look into the foster care system in your state. It's a wonderful way to find your person and for a child to find their forever home. But my story was, it was a private adoption, but those days, it was different. So I had to go into foster care before I was placed into my parents' care. And they had waited quite a few years for me because my mother couldn't have children naturally. They tried, and sadly, many miscarriages and later. And here I am. And then I remember as soon as they got me, they applied straight away for my brother, and they had to wait. Even back then, I was born in 1968. And even back then, they had to wait 3 more years until they were approved for my brother, because only a few babies even back then came through. So my story, I was able to meet my biological mother when I was 26 years old, and my mother got to meet my biological mother, and we had a wonderful, respectful relationship. She's no longer with us. Neither one of my mothers are with us anymore. My biological father is still with us, and my adoptive dad, Marty, that everybody knows, he's still with us. And my story is a good story. For many kids out there, they're not as lucky. So we're going to take this platform and this moment just, we encourage everybody, for any information you want to know, you could follow Extraordinary Families on Instagram. They're a wonderful organization based here in Los Angeles that works with fostering to adopt families, matching kids up with families. It's a wonderful, wonderful organization. What, Tom Campbell?
Great. You are, well, Michelle, I'll just say you serve on the board of Extraordinary
I am.
Families.
I'm on the board. That's why I'm so passionate about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's something like 400,000 kids in foster care in the States, and around 30,000, maybe more actually, in LA County alone. So the need is really serious. And I think COVID, one of the things of COVID has been that, it's sad irony that, the pet shelters are empty, but more and more kids are being forced taken into care, into care with the system, and need homes. So
And
absolutely.
I promise you there will be no greater return on love and anything you could imagine. These kids, gratitude doesn't even describe these kids waiting for their forever family. Yes,
I
Tom.
thought I knew your story, and I realized I know nothing. And I have a couple of nosy questions you can tell me to butt out. But
No.
how old were you when you were adopted by your family?
4 months. So here's a really, Fenton knows this story, but when you give a child up for adoption, how it works is the mother doesn't bond with the baby, because if the family is there, if you're lucky enough to be there when the mother gives birth and take the baby bonds with you immediately. So what they did when I was born was didn't know that she was giving me up for adoption, and the nurse brought me in for a feeding, and she had the first bonding feeding with me, and then they had to take me away. So it was a really difficult moment for my mother, but also so selfless, because she knew that she could not give me the home that I deserved and needed. And it was the most selfless thing in the world to give a child up for adoption for a better life. And through it, I have met my wonderful half sisters, and they've been amazing and supportive. I was 4 months old when my mom and dad got me, and I don't know how old my brother was, but I was 4 months old. And what's your other question?
I've met your dad. You are an amazing mother. You are happily married, or so it seems. You're a wonderful friend. I can say that without any hesitation. So you turned out great. And I love how much love you have for the whole process. Was there ever a time in your youth where you thought it sucked that you were adopted?
Oh my God, yeah. I think any adopted kid listening would agree. And also parents that have adopted children or are going to adopt children, just know that's normal. Any time that I didn't get my way, or I would get in a fight, and usually in the preteen, teenage years, before I got old enough to understand what I was saying was hurtful, there was a lot of,
you're not real mother.
That's it. You're not my real mother. You can't tell me what to do. Things like that. So yeah, there were moments when I would see people, my friends, look like their parents. I didn't look like my parents. So I'd look at them and be like, okay. So like there was a little bit of jealousy of that, but come to find out as I got older, like I had a lot of friends saying that they wanted to be adopted, because to me, the, adopted children, we're the chosen ones. So we like to think we're extra special, because of how long people waited for us or tried. And my mother always told me that we were the chosen ones. So
but
for me,
there's a correlation. There's a correlation to that, where you aren't my real mother, where when you are angry with them, you can say, well, they aren't my, they are, I'm different from them. They aren't my parents. And you can sort of like separate yourself from them a little bit.
You can, but you know what, James, I can't even tell you, Fenton could attest. I met my biological parents. They're not my parents. My mom and dad are Arlene and Marty, who I have no blood relation to, and they're my mom and dad. And that never even entered my mind, even to the point like going through therapy now and doing some EMDR work. I've created a storyline on my mother's health path when really I'm not even related to her. So you get so intertwined, they are my mom and dad, even knowing who my birth parents are. So,
It's funny,
yes.
I'm adopted, and I have the same cough as my mother. It's 1 followed by 2 followed by and like you pick up the things, you become the part of the family. You are you might as well be, a biological, because
we are.
And my sister, people say that I look like my sister. People say that my sister looks like my mother, and my sister's adopted. So it's, you grow to become, it's like people looking like their dogs.
It is.
Like you end up looking like your family regardless.
Yeah. It's amazing though. So we encourage it.
I love that you say you're the chosen ones, but I also think, in my experience, I have two kids, Elliot and Nolan, 14 and 6. Nolan's 14, Elliot 6. And I cannot imagine, yes, I chose them, but I really, truly, deeply, profoundly feel they chose me. For better or worse, they chose me. Do you relate to that? Is that how does that work?
That's some juju, like supernatural, psychic stuff, that I believe in all that stuff. And I believe that even my biological daughters that came through my body, I believe that they chose me to be, born from. And I think that energies are matched weirdly, sometimes for better, sometimes for worse. I think there's a reason why energies are matched. And I believe very strongly that I'm Marty and Arlene's daughter. I don't look like them, but I certainly act like them. Just like James was saying, we become subculturally who we are. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know that I was 23% Iberian. I didn't know all these things about me until I started doing DNA, because all you get is a piece of paper saying your mother was 17 and she had a kidney infection and she was Irish and Hungarian. The end. That's all the information they gave me. So this journey has been very interesting as I uncover all these different stones. But I agree, they did choose you.
Stick around with us, Michelle, because we're going to keep counting down top things that make us go wow. Of course, you are the 10, 10, 10 across the board. But please do get involved. May is National Foster Care Month. And one way to get involved is to support Extraordinary Families. It's a great organization that places a real emphasis on same-sex parents, which is such a great resource for foster kids, too. So let's move on. Number 9.
Number 9.
I know. I feel really bad because we just had this really. Tom is doing this season 1 Vaseline on.
Give me some.
There you go. You looked a bit like Alexis Carrington.
I need it. I'll take what I can get.
I feel bad because we just had this really wonderful, frank conversation, and now I'm going to totally go superficial on you. And I want to talk a little bit about Halston on Netflix. The Ryan Murphy. Did you all see it? Do you know what we're talking about?
I did.
I'm not done, so don't spoil it for me.
The last 10 minutes are amazing.
Shut up, Tom Campbell. You're a jerk.
I think you know how it ends.
I know how it ends, but I mean, let me live my journey, guys.
I went back and forth on it because you all know how I feel about Ryan Murphy. And the problem with Halston, Ewan McGregor did an amazing job.
He was so good.
Channeling him. But the problem is that Halston was an unlikable prick. There's just, and watching hour after hour of this unlikable prick, it takes its toll after a while. And I don't know that I could get on board with it 110%. I thought the girl who did Liza, again, she wasn't really Liza, but she was so watchable and so funny and so adorable. I loved her. I thought she was great. I thought it was weird that there was no Andy Warhol. There was like a complete Andy Warhol erasure. There was no Andre Leon Talley. There was no Paloma Picasso. There was no Marissa Berenson.
You know why there's Andy Warhol erasure? It's because Ryan Murphy is doing Andy Warhol. That's his next thing.
I thought that maybe that everyone had that there was like a legal thing saying that they couldn't do it. But on the Victor Hugo character was hysterical. I love all of that. That was all really good. I think it really hits its stride. Michelle, have you gotten to Studio 54 yet?
No, but I have to be close.
You have to be once it really hits its stride at Studio 54. There's a couple montages there that are really fantastic and really fun. And so Tom, yes, please.
Here's my overview. I can see the whole thing, but I won't spoil it for you. But I feel like ultimately, sadly, it's the story of an addict, right? And also somebody who was ravaged by AIDS. And both of those stories, for different reasons, end very similarly, unfortunately. Like it's like boom. It's like genius, like life, creation. So the first 3 episodes to me, I was mind blown. I watched them all in one sitting. And I was like Googling, because I don't know his story so well. I know a lot about the world, or I think I do. And so I was Googling every friend and every location and every advertisement and every color carpet, red carpet offices and all that. And then the second half, the second 2 are just a little bit more, maybe just because I just personalized it, but it was just sort of sad. But there was amazing ending.
The stuff about his townhouse, it was his townhouse. That was definitely, Brian Murphy got that correct. The offices in Olympic Tower are right there. It's spot on. So much of it is spot on. I felt that the clash between the French and American fashion, the
Battle of Versailles.
The Battle of Versailles. I thought that they could have really pumped that up a little bit more. I felt it fell a little flat. So I'm back and forth on it. Some of it I loved, some of it I did not love. And
they must have had a big budget, but that was a very expensive, to recreate these events. It was so many people. I thought they did a good job of sort of bringing
the clothes. The caftans. I just died. I ejaculated all over those caftans. God.
Oh, that explains.
And the ultra suede. I'm just, you have to watch it, Fenton, because it's a lot.
Yeah, it's really good.
We'll talk about it again.
Yeah,
I'm sure we'll talk about it many, 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 many times. And I've been reading all the reviews, and Ruin Murphy, that's his nickname. But
people are so bitter, as you know. So I'm so sick. I don't even reviews can suck my dick. Goodbye. I'm so over it at this point.
I know, but it's easy to read a review as opposed to watch for a whole hour. It's much easier to read 3 reviews and gloss them. And all I was going to say about the reviews is that actually they've been really mixed and really
very mixed.
I think
very
engaged.
Polarizing. Yes,
it really engaged in an interesting way. It's not like there's a universal opinion. It's sort of people are engaged by it, and I think that's
it's
really
all relative. It's art. It's what you make of it. Look at Hello, Showgirls is my favorite movie. It's like it's what you love, and all that stuff is going to speak to you in there. Yeah, are there mistakes? Yeah, everybody makes mistakes. Sorry, I had a Hannah Montana moment.
And do you recall the name of the director? Because the
name of the director is Dan Minahan, and we've got to move on. But I was going to tell a little story that Dan Minahan's first job was working at World of Wonder.
Oh yeah,
he was an editor. I'm sure Dan's listening. I'm sure he's muttering, "God damn it!"
Dan, I'm available for the next project.
But this was a passion project of his for a long, long time. So it's really his passion that probably got this, Brian Murphy's connections, but his passion.
Absolutely right. It's got the Ryan Murphy, has the Ryan Murphy label, but Dan Minahan, wanted to make this project from 1991 when we first met him as an editor on our first series, Manhattan Cable. So power to him for getting it done.
Amazing.
And also, actually, Christine Vachon was producer on it too.
Killer Films.
All right,
Party Monster. God bless.
Number
Christine.
8. So that's Halston on Netflix. Number 8.
Number 8.
I'm going to talk about Adopted and Fabulous. And I mean, anyone who's adopted is fabulous, of course. But there are a number of people I didn't know were adopted. And since this is National Foster Care Month, thought I'd talk about a few so we can just chime in and comment nicely.
Okay.
3 people, certainly in my life, apart from you, Michelle Visage, and you, James St. James. Actually, that makes 5. Jay Manuel from Project Runway. No, Top Model. America's Next Top Model. Jay Manuel adopted. Yes.
Didn't know that.
Jeffrey Boyer Chapman.
I did know that. Yes.
Yeah.
Love him.
Ryan Serhant from $1 Million Listings.
I think I did know that about Ryan. I think I've talked to Ryan about it before.
That's right. Leo Tolstoy.
I have not talked about it with Leo Tolstoy, but I'll bring it up next time I'm with him.
He owes me a call.
This is going back a bit, of course. Eleanor Roosevelt.
Oh,
okay. Babe Ruth.
Wow. You're really going back.
Nelson Mandela.
What? No, really?
Yeah. Maya Angelou.
Okay.
Oh.
I could
Okay.
just go on like this. It's so fascinating. Marilyn Monroe. I was like, I had no idea.
Oh no.
Yeah, sure. Well, Marilyn bounced around the system for years. She was in the foster care for most of
but
her.
didn't she end up back with her biological mother?
According to Smash,
Okay.
the musical on NBC, yes, she did, and her name was Bernadette Peters. Thank you.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Colin Kaepernick.
Oh, is he?
Oh, I love him so. Oh God,
Yeah.
These are extraordinary people. They're not just celebrities. They're kind of like total like culture changers.
Yeah. Hello,
It says
Steve Jobs.
Who?
Steve Jobs. Apple.
Okay, yeah. All
Steve
these
Jobs was adopted
Yes.
too?
Oh, and this one, I love this one. Debbie Harry.
Oh,
Really?
God
Yeah.
bless.
I mean, Nicole Richie,
Oh, I did know that. Yeah.
Snooki from Jersey Shore.
Knew that.
Okay. Jamie Foxx.
Okay.
Know that.
Mm-hmm. Kristen Chenoweth.
Oh, God bless Kristen
Yes,
Chenoweth.
we did a going home with her.
Frances McDormand, recent Academy Award winner.
Again.
It's just incredible. Oh, John Lennon. Oh my God, Ice-T. It's like,
I didn't know.
2 peas in a pod. John Lennon and Ice-T.
so I went down this rabbit hole, and of course, the website I found it. I have to say, every child who was fostered and or adopted has the capacity to impact generations, regardless of whether or not the world takes note. And I think that's so true. I mean, it's just an example of some of the people who've been adopted, but every adopted or fostered child is a star in their own right.
I love that.
Yeah. And yes, please support extraordinaryfamilies.org/donate. You can just give them all your money. All right. So on that note, let's take a break. And Blake, I think you got a question, right?
I do. You almost took all of my good questions during that last segment, but you left one. This country music diva who is married to a country superstar hunk is also adopted. Can you name her?
I can.
So
Can
it's
you
a,
name her?
all right. Wait till after the break. So basically, it's a country pop duo who are married who are both adopted. Is that right?
No, it's a country music diva who's married to a country music superstar. They're both famous in their own right.
But she is adopted. Who is she?
Okay.
Got it. Thank you very much. We'll take a break. You're listening to the Wow Report on Radio Andy on Sirius XM.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back to the Wow Report. I'm Fenton here with Tom and James and our very super duper special guest, Michelle Visage.
Yay!
I'm Blake, and we had a question from you before the break.
Yeah, we're talking about adoptions because it is National Foster Care Month this month. This famous country diva who is married to a country superstar, he's a hunk. They're not a duo. They're both famous in their own right, but she is adopted. Who is she?
Can I guess?
Yes.
It could be one of a few, but my first instinct was Faith Hill.
I vote
Yes.
Faith Hill.
Ding, ding, ding. This
Yay!
Chris.
Faith Hill too.
Yay!
Yeah, I had no idea.
And who's she married to? Blake
Tim
Shelton?
McGraw.
Tim McGraw, of course, yes. Who fills out a pair of jeans
Hottest
very
of them all.
nicely.
I am
Yeah.
thinking about his thighs right now in a pair of jeans. Thank you.
Yeah.
The hottest of them all. Take that, Blake Shelton.
We're counting down the top 10 things that made us go wow, and we have reached number 7.
Number 7.
Now, I'm so proud of myself because not only did I watch Halston this week, the entire thing, I have watched the 2 premiere episodes of Hacks, the HBO Max series starring Jean Smart of Designer.
I'm so excited to hear about this because I love her so much.
I
I
love Jean Smart. I didn't even know she was in something. Tell us all about it.
Yes.
Not only is she in it, she's starring in it. It is a vehicle for her.
It's a vehicle for Charlene.
No. She's playing a different character, but she's basically playing. Blake's a big Charlene. He is Charlene.
Yeah, me too.
Blake's life is a vehicle for Charlene. But anyway, it's. I'm going to give it in really simplistic terms, and Fenton has his own take. We've talked a little offline about this, but it is the Joan Rivers story fictionalized, and the premise is that a millennial writer who gets canceled online, just like she became famous online, she has value as a character and she's lovely, but she's just bitter and young and entitled, and she gets canceled. And Jean Smart is Joan Rivers, who has a dead husband, is selling cute things on QVC, who lives in a huge mansion, who has been around forever, who has a room full of jokes. Sound familiar?
Right.
She's about to lose her Saturday and Friday nights at the big casino in Vegas. So the manager puts them together, and so this is unlikely pair, and it's a great exploration of different generations and women and show business and how hard it is, but different work ethics and everything. But it is delicious, sort of not making fun of Joan Rivers, but using that rich life and that Joan Rivers was a lot of things, and it's she was smart, she was brilliant, she was there's a moment in this huge mansion she has with limousines and Rolls Royces and help, where she also has in her gargantuan chicken, the Jean Smart character in Vegas, like a soda machine that you go to McDonald's, like she's so rich she can have what she wants, and she always has a Diet Coke, and that's the thing she lives for. And at one point she realizes that the Diet Coke machine, the gas is out or whatever, the
fizzy.
So in the middle of her talking to the girl, she's like, no. The maid goes, I can fix it. She goes, I will. So she takes out the canister, lugs another one, puts it in. It's this great character moment as she's having the dialogue where you're like, she's the fanciest, richest, bitchiest, snobbiest woman on earth, and yet when she needs her soda fountain change, she does it herself.
And that's Hacks, and that's on HBO Max.
HBO Max.
Oh
Fenton likes to say it's like what's your comparison, Fenton?
Well, it's probably a bad comparison, but I feel it's like a cross between the Golden Girls and the Comeback.
Oh my goodness, Tom, you had me at bitter. I can't wait.
Well, I do know that Jean Smart has said that as much as it is Joan Rivers, that she based a lot of the characterization on Elaine Boozler as well. That a lot of
that's wow.
I can see that too, and I'm not trying to say they're just ripping off Joan Rivers. It's much richer than that, but it's definitely a starting point. And Elaine Boozler is another great example. I mean, that's a comedy legend.
Yeah.
How women, Joan was able through much hard work and humiliation throughout her career and rebuilding and rebranding. But and Elaine Boozler, I saw someplace recently, maybe on the radio. She's still hilarious. And
and Jean Smart is having this comeback right now where she was just in the Mare of Winning Hat. What was the
Mare of Easttown? No, Mare of Easttown, which is perhaps the bleakest, darkest television drama on air at the moment. But Jean Smart pops on, and it's like, oxygen, some light relief, but completely in keeping with the show. She is so amazing. It's almost like, how has she suddenly, obviously she's famous and established, etc., but suddenly it's like, how has this person not been in everything for the last 50 years? It's this mega moment.
God bless Jean Smart. I mean, I'm so happy that she's having a moment, but you do wish that she had her EGOT, that she was in everything on stage and, in movies.
This is the perfect role for, when I think about it, it's a little Kathy Griffin, My Life in the D List, just a little bit too, that idea.
I can't wait.
I can't wait either.
And now I'm going to let you and lower your expectations, because it's a lovely, subtle thing. But do watch. I'm in for the long run. And so many things come and go so quickly. Maybe this could run for a while. It's really good.
I'm literally putting in my memory thing in my reminders now. So
there are so many genius moments, but there's one I want to share when the sort of Gen X canceled millennial Sarah Silverman type comedian goes to Vegas to meet Jean Smart in a giant mansion, and they're having this meeting. It's very tense, and finally the young comedian snaps and says, God damn it, you live in a giant cheesecake factory. You know, it's just so apt because this mansion is like a sort of restoration hardware cheesecake. We all know the kind of architecture. And it's just
hilarious.
there's so many just perfect moments like that. It's something I could watch over and over and over.
I love that.
Quite exhausted. Number 6.
Number 6.
I last night watched the perfect movie to watch on a late at night when you're you're exhausted and the lights are dim and you turn it on. The Woman in the Window. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Is that with Amy Adams?
It's Amy Adams. It's a thriller on Netflix. It stars fantastic cast. It's Amy Adams, Julianne Moore, Gary Oldman, Anthony Mackie, Jennifer Jason Leigh, and Wyatt Russell. And Wyatt Russell is Kurt and Goldie Hawn's son, who looks exactly like his dad, and he's so handsome and he's so wonderful. It's this story of this shut-in. She's an agoraphobic, and she hasn't left her apartment in years and years and years. And she just sits and watches these old 40s and 50s noir movies. And it's very Rear Window. She sits in her window all day and all night with her camera and binoculars and stares at the building across the street and gets to know who everybody is in the building across the street. And slowly but surely, they all sort of come over to her house, and she gets to meet them all. And she meets this crazy family that has just moved in. And then she witnesses a murder, or what she thinks is a murder. And of course, nobody believes her because she's on all these pain pills and she's drinking and she's a maniac and she's a mess and she's always calling 911. So nobody believes that this murder has happened. And then they start to gaslight her, the people across the hallway, that the people that she thinks she saw, that she didn't really. It's very complicated, very convoluted, but it's really fantastic. And everybody gets like a 10-minute scene where they really shine. Julianne Moore is hysterical. Gary Oldman is sinister and scary. Jennifer Jason Leigh is sort of creepy and weird. So it's really fantastic. I think you should watch it. The Woman in the Window. I don't know what's going on. If you,
for those of you who just thought that your tire burst in the back of your car, or thought that maybe your dog met an untimely.
Oh, wait. Let me just say that I tried to do that quietly because, Tom, you know what it sounds like normally.
That was Michelle sneezing. And as loud as that was, it was 1/100th of how loud it usually is.
I was really trying.
Can you reenact? Can I get a reenactment, a full volume?
My sneeze is so loud. Like, I know we're going off track. And Woman in the Window movie, I'm going to watch it tonight. I watched
how
The
you
Father.
The end of it. When it's time for me to be done, you make that sound, and I'll shut up.
It's just so funny because it's such an obnoxious sneeze, and it goes back really quickly. When I was young, I used to hold my sneezes in because they were really obnoxious. And I remember going to the the pediatrician, and he said, "Stop doing that. You could burst blood vessels in your eyes." And so as a kid, I stopped and I started letting them out. And when they come out, my whole body gets involved. So anybody that's ever heard on mine and Rue's podcast or ever, it's somewhere. You'll always see me sneezing. It's obnoxious. That was my quiet version of it.
And I would say Michelle's sneeze is like Seinfeld's Elaine's dance, but it goes by quicker. It's like you can't believe that it's coming out of this beautiful creature. Anyway.
Oh, it's a horrible. So I'm so sorry. Woman in the Window, gonna watch. I'm gonna add on that. Watch The Father if you haven't seen it.
Never mind that. I want to talk about Michelle's sneeze. I'll have what she's having.
It's very that. Very that.
All right, number 5. It is National Foster Care Month, so it's a bit of a theme with us this week. We're very excited to have Michelle Visage with us and James St. James, both of whom adopted. And before the show, James and I talked to Alec Mapa, who also adopted a kid. And here's our conversation as number 5, the amazing Alec Mapa.
Number 5.
All right, now at number 5, very excited to introduce Alec Mapa.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Alec.
Darling, you look fabulous. We got you just at lunchtime, I see. 'Cause
I know.
You're
I'm
eating
starving.
something?
I am
What are
a
you eating?
mother.
What are you eating?
I'm a working actress. I am a woman on the go. So
Well, you can stuff food in your face while I do a very brief
okay, hit it.
summary of your illustrious career. You are America's favorite Gaysian. Don't
True.
take offense. I read that several places.
Mm-hmm.
You are Gabriel's personal shopper on Desperate Housewives,
That's right.
the TV series. Recurring role in Ugly Betty as Suzuki St. Pierre.
That's right.
The swishy talk show host. And of course, I think personally very interesting is a stylist in the movie You Don't Mess with the Zohan. I don't know if you know this, and we can cut this out, but the Pop-Tarts New York City beat, Randy and I, we had a band.
Is
called
in the
Pop-Tarts.
soundtrack. Is in the soundtrack.
It's
to
in the
Don't Mess with
soundtrack.
Zohan.
And was in the trailer too.
How about
I
some?
love that you're pushing the Pop-Tarts.
The Pop-Tarts.
40 years later,
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
still pushing it as hard
Yeah.
as you can.
Now available
That's
at
not
World
why
of
we're here
Wonder.
today.
Download on iTunes.
Every
That's
time
right.
someone comes in to pitch a meeting, they get a copy of the CD
Oh, how
as a
great.
parting gift.
I want one.
But Alec, we've known you. You've been known to World of Wonder for years because in 2008, of course, Trans-American Love Story,
Yes.
a reality dating show with Calpurnia Adams.
Yes,
You were
the
very key
first of
part
its
in that.
kind, and I think we should bring it back. I think that we were years ahead of the curve. Do you remember how it was like difficult to get men who were going to be out and dating trans women at the time? And this wasn't that long ago. This was like 2007, 2008, and now
Just 12, 13 years ago. Yeah.
I think now would be a completely different story. We would get the
I
girl.
agree.
We'd get a million hot guys, and people would be clamoring to be on the program. So let's do it.
Let's do it. Consider it done. We'll start pitching right away. And of course, you were in Candidly Nicole and even Dancing with Dogs, which, as a title, suggests
Dancing with
something
Dogs
other than
is
what
one
it
of
was.
my favorite World of Wonder projects of all time. Talk
Dan-
about something we should bring back.
Dancing with Dogs. That was like me and Tom kind of bonded on that trip. And we just kept on looking at each other going, this is real. This is a real thing. And I loved interviewing all the ladies. They were the biggest bunch of lovable weirdos ever, who choreographed numbers with their dogs. And this is an actual competition. And I'd never been to Rhode Island before. Providence, Rhode Island. It was lovely.
I know it was a classic. It was a classic.
It will live forever.
But as you know, this month, May, is National Foster Care Month. And something perhaps that maybe people don't know about you is that you are an adoptive parent. Is that the right phrase? You
yeah.
have adopted.
Yes. Yes.
And so I wanted you to come on the show because we're talking about adoption this month. And talk about your experience. Because
Terrific.
It's a wonderful, amazing thing.
Yeah, well, luckily, my husband and I had the good fortune of living in Los Angeles, where they made it really easy for us. In LA County, LA County has the largest number of foster kids in America in it. And it's actually gone up since COVID pandemic. People were really hard hit economically. There's 400,000 kids in the foster care system at any one given time. 100,000 of those kids will not be reunited with their parents, so they are up for adoption. The most desirable placement is a baby girl. Everybody wants a baby girl. Nobody wants them over the age of 3. Nobody wants a boy. And if they're an African American boy, it becomes harder to get adopted. The statistics were a Caucasian baby girl is 7 times more likely to be placed than a black boy over the age of 3. And my husband and I heard that. I was like, listen, I got nothing against little white girls. I've been one my entire life. But if there's going to be a lady of the house, it's going to be me. So when we heard that, we signed up for foster adoption training, which is 6 weeks here in the Los Angeles. You have to learn about the kids in the system, what they've been through, what to expect. They want you to be as specific as possible. What kind of kid are you willing to take on? So we put down, like if you're a special needs parent, they want to know that. If you're interested in special needs kids, LGBTQ people are 5 times more likely to adopt older kids and kids with special needs, which is amazing.
Nice.
And which it makes it heinous that there are adoption agencies based on religious beliefs that will turn away a qualified queer couple.
It's heartbreaking.
It's
And of course,
heartbreaking.
Extraordinary Families, who you work with,
Yes.
a very different kind of adoption agency. They've been awarded for same-sex adoption parents. And in fact, my 2 kids came through Extraordinary Families.
Yeah.
I mean, they're amazing, right?
How old are your kids now?
Nolan is 14.
Holy crap.
And Elliot is 6. Yeah. And Zion, how old is Zion? your
He's
son?
16 years old. He's 16. Wow. I'm the mother of a teenager.
I love seeing the pictures because he dwarfs the both of you.
Oh
right
my God, yeah. No, he towers over me. He's my big boy. But he's still my sweetie pie. Like, he'll let me do daddy stuff still. Like, if we watch television, he'll let me scratch his back, but that's it. We can't get too sticky around here. He's too grown up for that mushy stuff.
I read something, Alec, where one day he gave you a Father's Day card where he wrote, "Thanks for saving me."
I didn't even think he thought of it that way, because I think that if you set yourself up as a savior figure to your kid, it's kind of that's not great.
Right. Right, exactly. Because you pulled him aside and you said, no, and this is what made me cry this morning as I was reading this. You know, you told him, I didn't save him, he saved me.
That's
and
right.
I just feel that way with my kids. Yes, let's cry. I have tissues.
It's true. I mean, all the things that I've gained as a parent dwarf everything that he's given us. We watched Woman in the Window last night on Netflix.
I saw that last night too.
Yeah, and there's a scene where Julianne Moore says to Amy Adams, when you think you have kids, because she's talking about, he's my guy, he's talking about her son. You think you have kids, it's like, oh, they're mine, he belongs to me. But the truth is, when you have kids, you belong to them. I belong to him. I live, breathe, parent. I mean, it's kind of like that's. Don't you feel that way?
I totally do. And the other weird thing is, and it's sort of related, sometimes people say to you, oh, how did you choose your kids? And I say, no, you don't understand. I did not choose them. They chose me. I don't know how. I don't even know why. But they did.
Yeah. You can't explain that to anybody.
How does that? It's a weird, spooky reverse thing, right? They did. They chose you.
They chose us, and we were. I guess he came to live with us when he was 5 years old, in January of 2010. Good Lord. And by that week, by the week was over, it felt like we'd always had a kid. Like, oh, we have a kid now. This is our kid. And it felt like we had been parents for a really long time. Like, we snapped into place right away. I mean, we weren't perfect parents. We're adequate parents. We're highly functioning parents doing the best we can. And I think and you make it up as you go along. That's the other thing. You could read as many books as you want and map it out, but a kid is like its own thing. It's not gonna go where you want it to go. It's not gonna. Yeah, they're their own people, and you just have to kind of follow them and just kind of keep them in place and safe and contained until it's time for them to go.
Alec, do you know that James?
Oh yeah, no, I was adopted. My sister and I were both adopted.
Oh.
Yeah. This was back in the 60s. It was known that I was adopted. There was never a time that I don't remember. Like, I didn't discover it one time. It was always just sort of, but it never was a thing. I mean, I have a stepsister, a half sister, a brother, and my sister and I, and we all have different biological parents. There's no one person who can say I'm real and you aren't. Everyone, there's a stepmother and a mother and a half mother. All of that. So it was never really an issue when I was growing up, and I've never tried to find my birth parents. I've never even thought to. Yeah. I think at some point I would like to, just for health reasons and to see about all that, but I've never had any interest in, you know, discovering who my birth parents
That's
were.
so interesting to me. Because I've talked to other friends who were adopted who actually did meet up with their birth parents. And I had a friend in Vancouver who met his birth mother, and he felt after the meeting was over, that's not my mom. My mom is my mom. That's a woman who he didn't feel a bond with her. He didn't feel any emotional attachment. It was interesting. He said it wasn't what I expected.
Well, I've always sort of I feel like, probably in the Deep South in 1966, like it's probably for the best that I ended up where I did, because I can't imagine. It was probably, a 16-year-old girl. It was probably, something like that. And I'm just in so much of a better place with the family that I'm at that I would never think, oh, maybe my life would have been better if I wasn't adopted.
The reverse could be true. You could have been like some billionaire's bastard child that was dropped off. And
I sometimes thought that I was like the Duke and Duchess of Windsor's love child, or I was like the Lindbergh baby, or
get rid of it.
You have like
hide it someplace in the deep South, far away from Buckingham Palace.
Yes. But you do sort of like sometimes when you're little, you do think like, oh, am I the secret, heir to the throne of Moldavia?
I would have run with that. But the Queen of England is my mother, but nobody knows.
Well, interestingly, in the new Cruella movie, adoption plays a major part of the plot, and very much is along the lines of someone who's adopted, who's actually born to greatness.
Have you seen it?
I can't wait. Did you saw it?
I have seen it. Of course, I'm not allowed to speak about it, or else I'll get sort of
all right.
a ton of bricks will
thumbs
fall
up,
on me.
Thumbs up. You don't have to say anything.
Actually, yes, thumbs up. I would definitely say thumbs up.
I can't wait.
I can't wait. It looks wonderful.
It's just Devil Wears Prada meets we need updates on these things every now and then, and this feels like satisfying that piece.
Good. I'm so happy. That's how gay I am. I'm excited about the new Cruella film.
Right. Extraordinary Families have been really good about supporting same-sex families. I think that's been, when I started looking around to adopt, it was tough. And in fact, I think the first agency was indeed the first one I interacted with was a religious-based one. And it wasn't a great experience,
No. Extraordinary Families was great from beginning to end. And not only are they good to the parents, they're really great with the kids. It's nothing felt rushed. It was really about when we heard about kids and their situations. These kids were really, for lack of a better word, vetted by them. And they were very transparent about what the kid has been through. Our kid was 5 and he'd been in the system since he was 3.5. And he'd been moved from home to home to home, right? And in the papers, it said he was very emotionally volatile. And we're like, why wouldn't he be? He's 5 years old. He's being shipped around all over the place. And when we got him and he came to live at our house, all of his emotions made perfect sense to me and my husband. We were like, you're lost. You don't know who we are. Well, I'm Alec. This is Jamie. If you want to, we can be your papa and your daddy. And this is where all the food is. And then I had to set up a schedule for him to make him feel safe. We're going to the park. We're going to this. Because usually when we first came to live with us, he would cry every time we left someplace. And it's like, why is he crying? Or he'd hide whenever somebody rang the doorbell. And so the social worker was super helpful. He said, one, he's crying because he thinks he's going back. So are you telling him where you're going? And we're like, no. And she goes, okay, dum-dums. So I briefed him every morning like he was the president. I was like, we're going to have breakfast. Then we're going to the park at 9. We're going to come back here at 10:30 and watch Thomas the Train Engine, right? And that helped things get better. And then, and I said, whenever the doorbell rings, that means we're having a party. People are coming over, and you have a very important job. You're the host. You have to greet people and welcome them into the home. So the doorbell rang, and we were expecting him to run because he would always run under the bed or, And he opened the door, and our friends were standing there, and he said, tickets, please. And they were like, what? I said, just give him a ticket. Just pretend to give him a ticket. And then he said, welcome. Let me show you around. So it's things like that.
Zion sounds so amazing.
There's a great line, Insider House Rules. I think it's one of the opening lines, and it says that orphans love routines and orphans love schedules.
Yeah.
And it's because they've never had that in their life. They love cliches. They love things that they can rely on over and over and over again.
But I think a certain amount of routine and structure makes all of us feel safe. Do you know what I mean? But even more so when you're a little kid and you have to go through the disorienting thing. I mean, there's a lot of discrimination against the kids in foster care. They think they're like damaged or something. Or somebody said, I don't know if I could adopt a kid with so many issues. I said, do you know anybody who has absolutely no issues at all? Because I don't. I don't know anybody without issues. So he had stuff, but it was kind of like stuff that my husband and I were as queer people, we're outsiders. As queer people, we're drama queens. As queer people, we were the ones who took the time to really look at his case and go, this is what he's been through. So everything he's expressing right now is right on.
You know, something he said that I read about, he's at school and a classmate asked him why he has two dads. Mm-hmm. And he said, because we're French.
Yeah.
Which is just so brilliant, right?
Yeah, that was my favorite.
Husband actually is French.
Yeah, because we told him when he came to live with us, you know, we're all different, but we love each other, and that's why we're a family. I'm Filipino. Papa is Cajun, which means he's from Louisiana, so he's kind of French. And you're black. We look like the last 2 minutes from It's a Small World. Everything's great. So when that kid asked him, why do you have two dads? It's because we're French. It's my favorite.
Well, thank you so much for being here and joining us.
Thank you.
You know, since this is National Foster Care Month, we're sort of urging everybody to get involved. The White House issued a proclamation asking people to reach out. And one way people can is they can donate or volunteer. And Alec and me, we're both parents via Extraordinary Families, which is extraordinaryfamilies.org/donate. Yeah, go there, give all your money, because they're a really great organization.
They're wonderful.
And actually, just what impact has COVID had? You mentioned that at the beginning.
Oh, well, my kid is 16, and the pandemic lined up exactly in that age where he would have been in his room the entire time anyway. So it's kind of been great. I see him at breakfast, and I see him at dinner, and then we play poker every Friday. We have a standing date. He plays poker with me and his other dad, and we have prizes, which are all junk food, and it's stuff I won't eat, so he usually ends up getting all of it anyway. I'm sorry, what was the question? What impact has it had on me?
Well, also on kids in foster care, right? I mean, it hasn't been that good for kids in foster care.
It has not been good on kids in foster care. In fact, the economic impact of this has driven a lot more kids into the system. I just want people to know that the kids are people. They're not scary. They're people who've been through stuff that wasn't their fault. And if you want to consider foster care, educate yourself and talk to the people at Extraordinary Families because they know all about it. This is what lined up for us, and this is what worked, and this is the family we have, and we're super, super happy.
Marvelous. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Talk to you
Always
soon.
nice to see you, honey.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Alec. That was fantastic. We're going to take a quick break. Blake, I think you have a question for us.
I do. In honor of National Foster Care Month, what two presidents were adopted?
We'll have the answer right after the break. You're listening to the Wow Report here on Radio Andy.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
And welcome back to the Wow Report on Radio Andy. I'm Fenton. We're here with James St. James, Tom Campbell, and our special guest, Michelle Visage.
Hi. Oh.
And of course, Blake, who had a question for us.
I did. This month is National Foster Care Month. What two U.S. presidents were actually adopted?
I'm going to say Herbert Hoover and Lyndon Johnson, of course.
Of course, naturally.
I think President McGovern and President Humphrey.
Are those real presidents?
No, they were vice presidents. they were Democrats and never became president. I don't know. It's a tough one.
Michelle?
Oh my God. I have no idea.
Would
I
Bill
know-
Clinton maybe have been one?
One
Who?
of them was Gerald Ford. Gerald Ford was one.
Okay.
Okay.
Grover Cleveland.
That's it.
Oh, President Clinton.
I was just going to say Clinton. Yes.
Clinton was adopted?
No? Okay. Blake, give it to us.
It was Bill Clinton and Gerald Ford.
Oh, there you go.
Bill
they
Clinton
were
was
both-
adopted?
They were both adopted by their stepfathers.
Okay.
Oh, that's different.
That's not real adoption.
Brady Bunch.
Maybe
yeah,
I
that's
should
like
take
Brady Bunch adoption.
this moment to say that if you want to support what is 07080, Michelle?
That's my South Plainfield, New Jersey zip code where I grew up. My daughter gave it to me.
I thought those were the last 5 digits of your social security that you were flashing for us.
This is my South Plainfield, New Jersey pillow.
Well, I was just going to say the one way you can support adoption and foster care is by buying a ticket to the magic show that Extraordinary Families is putting on. It's a virtual magic show, so anyone
Yes.
from anywhere can buy a ticket. It features Brandon Scott from the Magic Castle. It's on June the 6th, and you can buy a whole ticket for the family for $95. Or if you want to sponsor a foster youth to attend as well, it's $125 bucks. and you get, and this is why I just messed it up, a magic box. So you buy a ticket for $125 and you get a magic box.
I think Michelle already has a magic box. That's what I heard.
Thank you. Thank
This
you
is
very
a
much.
family show. extraordinaryfamilies.org/magic to get your ticket.
Family
Please
show
do that.
where? What kind of families do you think are
Do
listening?
you have a chosen family? Can I get 20?
Yes, chosen families.
All right. We're counting down top 10 things that made us go, wow. We've reached number
4. That's me.
Thank you, Michelle.
Number 4.
Number 4. I want to talk about a show that I fell into. I didn't even intend on watching it. I opened Netflix and I was like, what's this? She's cute. I clicked on it. It's called Ginny and Georgia. And I loved it. Now, this could be one of those mixed reviews type of thing. But Lola, my 19-year-old daughter, said, Mom, that's the show on TikTok that all the kids make fun of, because it's like let me tell you, every single thing that could happen, and not Murphy's Law, I mean everything from depression, suicidal tendencies, self-harm, being gay, virginity, the mother having 2 different kids from 2 different dads and running from the law, maybe everything that could happen is thrown into this series. That's kind of what I love about it, though, because a lot of, like, for example, one of the characters is a lesbian, but they're not making a big deal about it. She just is gay. No big deal. So I kind of like that. Usually with a gay character, it's like, oh, they're the gay character, and like they're making a big deal out of it. I like that it's a girl and she just happens to be gay, and everybody's like, no, carry on, business as usual. The actors are very, very good.
Who are they? Who are the stars?
You're going to ask me that.
I could ask. Is this the show that Taylor Swift attacked because they made a joke about her?
It has to be.
Yes.
Yes. So what happened was they said, they made fun of the whole boyfriend.
You have more ex-boyfriends than Taylor Swift.
Yeah, but like, you're going to attack that? Come on.
I almost wonder if Taylor Swift owns a piece of this show and attacked it just to draw millions of viewers and attention toward it. Who knows?
Well, the girl that plays Georgia, who's the mother, she is absolutely wonderful. She's from LA, but she has the best believable Southern accent, because usually it's like, when people try to do that would be like me. She's so good at it. Her name's Brianne Howie, And Ginny, the daughter, is played by Antonia Gentry, who is, struggling with being mixed race. There's a whole bunch. Every single topic that you can think of being covered is in it, which is why I kind of dig it. But
it's a series.
It's a series, but apparently the kids on TikTok are making fun of it.
What's the feeling you have after you watch one? Are you laughing out loud? Is it cringy TV? What's the vibe?
Is it a drama? Is it sad?
No, it's a teen angst drama, but it's not as dark as 13 Reasons Why. But there are topics that are covered. Like I said, the mother, the second husband died magically, and she shows up in this new town to start her life all over. And there's we find out that there's an agent, what do you call it? Like a person that's hired, an investigative reporter. What are they called?
Private dick.
Yes, like a private dick is hired to find her. And then she's family members are popping up, and she said that weren't there. There's definitely a mystery with Georgia. And Ginny's the mixed race daughter who has to deal with being in Whitesville, not white enough and not black enough. Do you know what I mean? That storyline, which I think is very real.
You know what they say when the husband disappears? It's always the wife. It's always the wife, Michelle.
That's what they say in Arsenic and Old Lace. It's just,
I don't know why I'm stupid, because I thought it was a comedy because the names are so funny and it sounds like a British comedy.
But Ginny and Georgia is the name of it, right?
Ginny and Georgia. I think it's adorable, but I think it's good because there are so many things covered. And a lot of those things my daughters have been through. The self-harming, the depression, there's things that are actual real topics that they discuss, and there's a disclaimer at the end with helpful, wording that could drive, kids to maybe talking about it and talking to somebody. Everything that is in the teenage, everything. I mean, there's nothing that's missed. It's all in there. And I kind of appreciate
it. It could
that.
be a CW show, but it's a little more adult than a CW show. It covers a little more ground.
It's a little more risque, but it's definitely a CW. And, I'll watch anything
I love a good CW, yes.
You will love it. And I expect you to text me after you start watching it.
I will do it this weekend.
But also, James, it's really well acted. A lot of them are kind of hokey. I love you, Vampire Diaries, but some of the acting is a little hokey. But
I love that you managed to get Arsenic and Old Lace and Vampire Diaries into your segment.
And I live for all of it. But this one is really well acted. It's y'all watch Schitt's Creek, every one of you, right? Yeah. The wife of Roland Schitt. His wife is one of the cast members on here too. She's wonderful. It's just I kept looking at her face, going, "Where do I know her?" Oh, and if you watch Friday Night Lights, anybody here watch Friday Night Lights? Wow, I got real butch for a minute, real quick. Anyway, one of the actors from there is on there. I just think it's really well acted. I'm supporting it. The kids on TikTok could laugh at me, but if anytime we could find a place to talk about issues that are really affecting teenage kids and bringing light to it, I'm on board.
Number 3, James.
Number 3.
Very quickly, I watched over the weekend Pride on Hulu and FX. The 6-part documentary about the burgeoning movement of gay pride, told from 6 different directors in 6 different styles. The first 3 were dropped last weekend, and it's the 50s, the 60s, and the 70s, and it is in exhaustive detail. It is the 50s is called There Were Parties or something like that, and it was about how sort of like the P.S. Burn This Letter that we've talked about on the show, where there's all the home movies of the drag queens and everything, and the home movies of the gays who were partying, but they weren't really out in the open yet. And there's about the opening or the beginnings of the Madison Society, all of that. The 60s is a lot of leading up to Stonewall, a lot of the Black Cat riots, a lot of the other things that were leading up to it. There's a great segment with an interview with Jack Dorshaw, who was Mother Flawless Sabrina, and she talked about Crystal LaBeija and the Queen, all of that. And so they have actual interviews with a lot of those people who, before they died, Flawless Sabrina, Junior LaBeija, who I sent you the picture of over the weekend, Fenton. that you didn't respond to, but that's another story. And then it's the build up to Stonewall, and then in the 70s, there's a lot of post Stonewall, a lot of the activism that is now in the forefront about so much about how the lesbian community was so integral in what happened after Stonewall in the Pride parades, and then Harvey Milk, of course. And I'm waiting for the next part to drop, because I know in the 80s they interview Fenton Bailey and Michael Musto.
Yes,
Yay!
they talk about Nelson Sullivan, who, videotaped in East Village in the 80s, Rue and James and Michael, and just Nelson was everywhere with that video camera and created this amazing archive, which I'm so excited that they've tapped into for that episode. I'm a little nervous, about what I might say, because, I can put my foot in my mouth.
Every single person in it, it's all academics and historians and everything like that. And everybody comes across as so smart and so intelligent. And I have no doubt that you two are going to really
And
just
that's why I applaud Fenton for appearing without a shirt and just a leather harness on.
Yes. Yes.
So anyway, so that's Pride. You can watch the first 3 episodes. I think the next 3 episodes will be this week on Hulu and FX.
And it gets a thumbs up from you, huh?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it is exhaustive, and it is every minute of the 1950s. It is every second of the 1960s. You walk away really feeling like you understand the entire gay pride movement.
Amazing. Number 2.
Number 2.
Ariana Grande, who when we started the Wow Report, these guys made fun of, but is one of my favorite singers. I love her voice. And by the way, I'm over that, guys. I don't like presenting. That was one of my big blow-ups with you two. Anyway.
But that's true. The Wow Report ended almost the moment it began, because we were making fun of Ariana
You
Grande.
really have been holding on to this for about 5 years now.
I love her.
She
I
got
have
married.
apologized so much.
She married. She's 27, which makes me feel, I don't know, old, like I've been around or something. And she married Dalton Gomez, who is, I think, a very successful kind of real estate agent.
Yeah.
And she met him looking for a house. They went on like a date right before lockdown, and they fell in love. And they're saying because they were able to do it, she's famous, and she's famous for falling in love. She's like, but she got to do it out of the spotlight. They were able to fall in love in private, and they got married in a little ceremony over the weekend. And it's just, I don't know. We live in a world where Ariana Grande is married and J-Lo is not. I don't know what that means, but
Well, she's been married enough.
I don't know.
Ariana,
Not to throw a little water on that, not to throw a little, be a little, but I've seen a number of pictures online that have side by side of Dalton and Pete Davidson, and they are split from the same gene pool. They are the same person.
Maybe from the waist up, but from the waist down.
Oh, are you? Well, we know that Pete is
gifted.
Yes.
I was 27 when I got married, so I think it's a wonderful age. And before we know it, she'll be a mother. Watch.
I'm very happy for her. I think this is absolutely wonderful.
I wish her well. I wish them both very well. And I hope, and supposedly other boyfriends were like, I think he sounds like he might be loaded and that he dotes on her.
Oh, he is.
And
he's worth $20 million.
I think she needs somebody who doesn't have to use her private jet. You know what I mean?
I love that. I love that he's independent in his own right. You know what I mean?
Right? It's like they can choose whose private jet they take. Are you going to take mine? Oh no, darling, let's take mine. Or maybe they
so
take separate
tired
jets.
of these men that are always after me for my private jet and my jewels, my money. Yeah, I hope you have their own. Yes.
Same, James.
All right.
Yes.
Let's take one more break. I'm very excited because we have an amazing number one, a revealing, profound number one to explore and discuss and dive into right after the break.
Really just spread it around.
We're on the Wow Report on Radio Andy.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
And welcome back to the Wow Report on Radio Andy. I'm so excited. Michelle Visage is our special guest. And you are the keeper of the secret. You're sitting on the secret, I guess, of number one this week. What is it, Michelle?
Number 1.
My first colonoscopy.
Congratulations.
I'm part of the club now, boys. Well, here's how it went down. I had one of those at home, because we're traveling all over. We've been all over the world, and I'm so blessed to be able to say that and be able to do it. And trust me, it doesn't go unappreciated in the midst of a global pandemic that we were able to do everything safely and work. So we were in New Zealand in quarantine. And before I left, I said to my doctor, I want to do one of those at-home tests, one of those Cologuard, we poop in a box and send it in. Because I'm 52. And at that time, I think I was 51, whatever it was. And he's like, I don't want you to do it. And I said, why not? He said, because 1 out of 6 is a false positive. And if you get a false positive, you're going to have to go anyway. And I was like, well, eventually I'm going to go anyway. I'm of the age, because in our country, they say 50 years old, which I think now should be earlier. Anyway, I did it. It came back and he called me and said, well, I told you it's positive. And I was like, okay. So that was before we left for New Zealand to film RuPaul's Drag Race Down Under. So I had, of course, being me who I am, was panicking the whole time.
Yeah, sure.
That's all I'm thinking about. So anyway, long story short, I do a thing with the doctor, like a Zoom, and he's like, I've never found any cancer thing coming from that, but it's usually because of something. And I said, okay. So I find out, I'm gearing up. I'm home. We filmed. We've got a week before, I've got a week before the colonoscopy, and then I get a call from VH1, and they're like, hey, we would like you to go to the MTV Movie and TV Awards. And I was like, great, because I knew that we were nominated. Wonderful. And I said, when is it? And they said, well, it's, this date. And I said, oh, okay, I'll be there. Fully realizing it was the prep day, the day before my colonoscopy. So if anybody knows what you're doing the day before your colonoscopy,
you're normally sitting on a throne.
Correct. So I called the doctor and I was like, I don't want to cancel this because I've had the appointment forever and I'm too neurotic. I said, what can I do? And he said, well, you're on a clear diet all day anyway, right? So that means vegetable broth, apple juice, whatever, nothing with color. Even if you're going to do Jell-O, no reds, because that could look like something bad, right? So I'm on a liquid diet all day, and usually you'd be taking care of stuff all day. Well, I didn't start until I got home after 9 p.m. So you mix a whole bottle of Miralax, and you start with milk and magnesia. And I was up, you have to drink a gallon as fast as you can. And I love coconut water. At this point, I never want to see coconut water again. And then normally you wouldn't be going all through the night. I don't need to get into detail to tell you, but I got there and I said, I said to him, I might have stuff, because he made me the last appointment of the day. And there was a girl there literally with a hose, and she's like, don't worry, that's my job. And I was like, what? She's literally like a colonic. I'll just suck it out of you. I was like, okay. So he comes in. I told him I was nervous. What happened? He goes, let me just tell you something right now. He goes, this could sound like the grossest job of all, my job. He said, the reason I do it is because this job saves lives. He said, we find stuff before it has a chance to turn into anything. And I just felt so, his name is Dr. Zuri Morel. He was amazing. I felt so comfortable. And it's so funny because at one point they rolled me in, disco music playing. They rolled me in to to be real, and I'm there and the nurse says, can you turn, I'm on my side. She said, can you turn your hips? And I was like, how do I turn my hips when and then the other nurse goes, back it up. And I went, oh, so I backed it up. And then I woke up and he found 3 polyps. So he said to me, they look fine. He goes, but because of them, it's no longer every 5 years for you. It'll be every 3 years. And I was like, he goes, but this is it. We found them. They will never turn into anything because we found them. So anybody that's listening, don't put it off. Obviously, if it runs in your family, it's a whole different game. You're going to go earlier, but don't put it off. Save lives. Do what I did. It was nothing. The worst part was drinking the liquid.
The worst part is drinking the liquid and just, having to be near the loo for that amount of time. But that's about it. And there's some really good parts. If I could just add a little bit of color, because I think when you wake up, you're in the best mood you'll probably ever be in your entire life. That's because you had the propofol when they put you under.
Ooh,
not to advertise drugs or anything, but really, oh my God. And then you do the most satisfying fart you will ever do in your lifetime as well, because you're like inflated like a balloon, and you've got to release that gas. And the whole ward is just full of people going, just like sneezing, like Michelle sneezing. It's just reverberating with these noises.
The thing is, they didn't warn me that he said, the nurse, Dane, his name was, he goes, I just want to tell you that they might need some air if they have to get anything. I was like, fine. I woke up and I looked like I was in my 7th month pregnancy. Like nobody told me. And then I thought I hadn't eaten. Let me take a bite of a banana. And it was like my stomach acid was filled with piranhas and they're like attacking the banana. So that was not a fun part either. The gas in your stomach afterwards. But I got my polyps out.
What's your polyps about? Did they find my watch that I've been missing?
Yes, they did. I was wondering where it went. I respect you.
It's just a Timex, but it has a lot of sentimental value for me.
It takes a licking and keeps on ticking.
Thank you, Michelle.
You're
Thank you, Michelle,
welcome,
for
please.
joining us and bringing us the joys of your colonoscopy and sharing your adoption experience. I feel we've learned so much more about you.
We really
You
took a
did.
deep dive into Michelle.
And
Polyp-free.
congratulations on your MTV Awards as well.
Aw,
MTV movie.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That
Season
was fun.
13 won
Congratulations
3.
to you, Tom, too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Best cast, best host, best competition show. Congratulations.
Yay!
And
we are
congratulations
so
to World of Wonder 2 for the Canada one as well.
Yes.
5 CSA Canada Screen Awards. 5.
Fabulous.
Amazing.
Incredible.
That is wonderful.
All in one night. Hey, thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Tom, and thank you, James, and thank you, Blake. And really also thank you to Alec Mapa and to Extraordinary Families who do such great work, because this is National Foster Care Month. And I just want to read a little thing that really, I'm getting sentimental or something, but the White House issued a statement at the beginning of this month, and they said, we have an expression in the Biden family: if you have to ask for help, it's too late. And they've passed a law to help foster kids in care as part of a sort of pandemic overall stuff, to help them participate in job training programs, pay bills. And they say, I call upon all Americans to observe this month by reaching out to the children and youth in foster care and their families. And you can do that. You can go to extraordinaryfamilies.com, for example, where I adopted my kids from, and Michelle Visage is on the board. extraordinaryfamilies.org/donate. And you can get involved by donating or volunteering or anything. But please do something if you can. And thanks for tuning into the WOW Report.
Yay!
Same time, same place next week.
Yes.
Until then, go out and
Bye.
do something that makes the world go
Wow!
Bye.